I think that we're also on the cusp of starting something new beyond the basic canopy courses. I think we're going to be doing. There's going to be obviously there's the swooping courses that are very specific to high performance approaches, but I think there's going to be something that I've been trying to get it started with the formation flying, flocking. We're going to see more and more of that. That's you're there to flock, and I know Alex got to do at least one of those, and that's amazing. But we need to do more of that because every time you land in that pattern, you're flocking. With you're flocking with a bunch of strangers, mismatched parachutes, and so the more we do those things, dynamically, not just flying there, but making turns together and switching slots and over the top and all these things, the better you become kind of a resilient canopy pilot. One of the things that I was taught as a ski racer is the guys that are the best all mountain skiers tend to be really good at giant slalom because there's all this freedom to sort of adapt and in the middle of a GS turn where it's slalom is all technical, it's very rote. Whereas is somebody that can do lots of different things where they're thinking on their feet, on their skis, and they're adapting in the flight. That's what we need to be under canopy. And if you're just basically making a couple of turns, waiting for the ground to come, and then yanking on the strings, right? So this is where we need to be the ones that are pushing this culture by inviting friends. So what are you doing on this one? Well, I was working on my belly flying. Well, what do you think? We can do some of that, but you want to break off high? We'll turn in track at like 8. We'll get open as soon as we can, and we'll figure it out in the exit order so we don't have people raining down on us, exit towards the end or at the very, very end. And, maybe we'll track so that we're off the jump run, and then people don't worry about, the high canopies. Tracking solves a lot of problems that way. And just, whoever you can find, you hang out with them. You hang out with them and you try to first settle it. That's the part that most people skip. They're like, kind of get there, like, now what? I want to touch end cells. Instead of that, you try to get it silenced. That's what I call that. Whether you're flying up head down and you're trying to take a dock, you don't just go straight for the grip, right? A dock is a demonstration of control. And so is flying in formation, waiting for it to settle down so that you can be aware that, oh, actually, we're both in brakes and maybe we don't want to be. We both thought we needed that to say, oh, I'm gonna go low, and then maybe you let it fly a little bit, or you're letting it fly, and maybe you want to choose to both go to brakes, and you communicate, and you slow it down, and then you settle that airspeed. Maybe you change into rear risers, both of you, and you settle that down. So with each input, even double fronts, you could both be in double fronts in formation, and notice how you can steer the parachute in double fronts. Right? But to be able to silence it, to be able to silence the momentum is essential. It's one of the most important skills in skydiving.
Mm.
And so I think that we're going to see more of that kind of a canopy course in the future because it gives back so much more than, well, I checked the box, I pulled on a rear riser. Am I a better canopy pilot because I sat in that chair and listened to that guy drone on about angle of attack? Like, it can be made boring, and that's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. That's like adding too many Latin names for the flowers that you're smelling. I mean, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with knowing the names of the flowers, but for God's sakes, enjoy the flowers, right? And so to me, that's what canopy flight is. Like we talked about last week, there's this quantitative analysis of the experience, and there's the qualitative analysis. You need both. You're working on your front riser dives and turns and things like that. Yes, evaluate how much it loses in the turns, but don't forget that the reason why you're doing it is because it's fun to go fast. To control that speed, and then it becomes useful to you. Not just in terms of a utilitarian nature, but useful in terms of the redeeming quality of enjoyment.